DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective, your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
What is happening, draft heads? We've been expecting you. I feel like that is super apt now. Well, okay. All right. Okay. There we go. I feel like that is super apt now, as I was saying, now that we're scheduling live streams, which is awesome. I'm so excited. And one of these days I will actually figure out how to, do all the audio things, which will be really neat time for all of us. Welcome in to everyone who's watching live. Welcome in to those who are checking this out later. Be sure to check out the comments. They should be scrolling live, even if you're tuning in later. And if you are watching live, send in some comments, send in some questions for us, because we've set aside a good chunk of today's show to answer those for you all and get some thoughts on your specific league quandaries and conundrums. But aside from that, let me just dispatch with the pleasantries here quickly and just remind you that you are watching the Key Pass Collective, of course, your one and only draft fantasy football live stream. Check it out on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. The video version will also be there, but you can also listen on audio. That'll be up tomorrow. We, of course, are the audio companion and now the video companion to the Draft Society. Draft Society is your website for all of your draft needs. We're talking rankings, stats, articles, player projections, rest of season rankings, fixture difficulty tracker, set piece taker tracker, and of course, which we unveiled last week, the brand new app, the Fantasy Toolkit, where you can go and optimize your lineup on a weekly basis. It'll walk you through everything and offer you some waiver wire suggestions, some trade calculations. It will rank your team based on roster value. There's a lot there, and it is free for the time being. So check that out. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second, just as a reminder. But otherwise, yeah, it's free for the rest of the season. Next season, it will be exclusive for Inner Circle members. We are an independent fantasy football website after all, so do think about supporting us. All right, let's bring in a couple of lovely fellas. We got Totti, we got Ryan. Welcome to you, gentlemen. Ryan, you're just looking really crisp. I got to say it because I know people are going to be thinking it. It's looking fantastic.
I apologize in advance for the 8K HD that I'm in. My wife was sick of seeing me blurry on the live stream, so she hooked us up for better or worse. So,
I love that.
I won't be able to rewatch that on Hungarian internet.
But why is that?
Latency issues.
It's just gonna be like
Too much bandwidth, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So drink it in while you can.
It's fair.
Loving it.
It's fair. So how's everything with you guys? You just having a good week and hanging in there? How were the results from last game week?
Not bad. I did really well, but yeah, the title is gone in one league. But yeah, still battling it out in some others. So yeah, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
As much as I was down last week, being 2 games behind my biggest rival in second place, the tables have turned. Although he had McNeil, so he almost clawed back, but he lost and I won. So I'm back to be 1 game behind, and I'm playing him this weekend. So this should be a good one.
What do the projections say? The Fantrax projections, of course. Those are the Bible.
Yeah, the Fantrax projections are absolutely spot on. Yeah,
the Fantrax projection. I will be honest, I haven't even checked them, but
Longstaff 50 spot.
I'm sure that I'm projected to score around 300-ish. No, I'm projected to lose by 6 points. But a more reliable projection from our very own draft lad has me eking a win. So it's gonna be a tough one. I can't say I'm disappointed that I'm not facing Solly March in the rivals team. So
don't jinx it.
Well, hopefully at least only one game, something like that. I'm not sure, but I have Ferguson, so swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Ferguson.
Well, the aforementioned, although it's been brought to my attention, I shouldn't say that as much, but I'll try to think of another word. The aforementioned reliable projections Totti's talking about can be found in our Fantasy Toolkit. If you go to your matchup tab, it will basically show you your expected projected points for that particular game week versus your opponent, your actual opponent in your league for that week, provided you are playing on Fantrax. We don't have functionality in other websites yet, but if you're on Fantrax, check it out. It is insanely useful, amazing tool. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. Actually, real quick, let's check in with a few of our listeners, because definitely our viewers, I should say, because there's definitely some people joining us here tonight. So shout out to Richard Barnes, who couldn't make it. He said, "Have a great snow," and then corrected himself. But then reminded us probably don't do any snow like while we're recording this. So just something.
I could. Those 3 pixels that I'm on, probably not many people would notice.
Nobody will know.
Yeah.
Not like Ryan.
I can't.
Yeah. So something for you guys to keep in mind. Please don't do that. And of course, Magnus was asking for Totti to showcase some high quality Hungarian beer, but Totti's informed us that it's wine tonight. Unfortunately, Magnus.
Yep.
It's not a beer night. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
But some Hungarian beer will make an appearance on future shows for sure. And then let's see. Harbor Boy, good morning from New Zealand. What's up, brother? Tom Husband back with us. Good evening, fellas. How you doing, my man? Pubs with Ab. Good evening from England. And he also has kind of a quick follow-up question here. Would you have to be a complete nutter to have done a top 10 draft order for next season already?
Answer's yes. It's top 12, by the way. But
Right. It's first round, to be honest. Yeah. So if anybody's wondering what that's about, check out Ryan's Twitter, where he got some engagement this week by publishing a first round expected draft order.
I was thinking about it. I mean, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I can't suppress these feelings.
It's true. I can't fight these feelings anymore. I love it. All right. Okay, let's do it. Oh, and one more. Carl at Cade. Greetings from Spain. Long time. Yeah, long time listener, man. Thank you for all the support. All right, let's get into it, guys. Okay, so today we are going to chat a couple of stats. That's just what I'm calling it, a couple stats. And then Game Week 36 streamers, my bad. Game Week 36 streamers, followed by listener questions. So let's kick it off. A couple of stats. These are care of our good friend at Drafter Thoughts. If you don't follow him, really, what are you doing? So go ahead and follow Drafter Thoughts. Gentlemen, Totti and Ryan, you guys can, I don't know if you can expand your screen to see this a little bit better, because I know this is a little bit small. Hopefully those on YouTube can make their screens a little bit bigger to see it. But our first stat that we're looking at here is top 2 players by total fantasy points per team in Fantrax Draft Premier League up to game week 34. I thought this was interesting just to bring up, your top scorers in terms of each team. I think it's an indication of what each team is kind of capable of, right? And then also, just worth thinking about, who maybe we want to be targeting, if there are any pickups here, if there are any guys to really start thinking about for next year. I mean, just there's a lot going on. So if we look at this sort of dumbbell graph here, you have one player on the left who is the second highest scorer, the one player on the right highest scorer, and you're going to see, in the case of like Odegaard and Saka, for example, right? Odegaard averaging 14.4 up to game week 34. Saka averaging 14.9, very close. You have other teams, take, for example, Newcastle, where you have Fabian Schär averaging 10.5, Kieran Trippier averaging 15.9. So a huge difference there in the average scores between the two top scorers. So anything you guys take away from this? What do you make of any of these stats?
God, Wolves is
so bad. So
almost
bad.
as bad as Chelsea. I think
Oh
I wanted
God.
to shout out. Those are the two. Those are the two that jump off the page. I think Wolves and Chelsea for me.
Yeah. No, it's a good reminder of the fact that I mean, you could be unique in terms of your sourcing your players, but you have to get the majority from teams that actually score goals, and Wolves,
that's a good point.
Unfortunately, is a bad example of the latter. I mean, if your goalkeeper, unless it's Leno, who's a baller, is your second best scorer, then that says it all.
You're referring to those listening to the podcast. You're referring to Kepa 8.7, and then Havertz 10.1. And when Kai Havertz is your top scorer on average, that's not great.
Almost as bad as
More than I
when
would think.
Ruben Neves is.
Ooh, Ruben Neves, what is that? 8.9? It's a little blurry for me. 8.9, and then Jose Sa 7.3. And those are the two top scorers on that team. Oh.
Yeah.
Does it get any better next year for Wolves?
It has to. I feel like I feel like Lopetegui is just kind of grinding out results with this team right now. So he's being very pragmatic. I think he'll have a big summer in the transfer window, get in some of his boys. And so I think they'll be a bit better if Sevilla is anything to judge by. I think they'll be a bit more adventurous, but for now, I think he's just slogging out results. So I got to think that they'll be a bit better, but I mean, it does give you pause for thought for some of the players that he already has this season, which has been horrible.
I think it was maybe last year or the year before when we talked about how it seems that that whole Fosun, that's what the owners are called, right? Fosun Group or something like that, combined with Super Agent Mendes, that whole project seems to have gone a bit stale, and Mendes hasn't been bringing over these guys who have come in to Wolves as a shop window team. So I think more the off season will be crucial in the sense that whether they will be able to sort of put together a Wolves of their own, so to say, as in make an identity without this Mendes influence. And if they do, and they bring in a few Lopetegui guys, then strong midfield contention. But if it's just bargain bin hunting, then I fear even Neves, I think, most likely will be gone. So who remains is a big question.
Yeah, there's talk of him going to any number of teams. It's already, I mean, they're already out there. I feel like every day on my timeline, it's Ruben Neves, rumored to a new team.
Yeah, it's been the consistent one has been Barcelona, and they've been mooting these these player swaps never happen, but they're fun to read about. Yeah, they've been moving this.
Fati.
Fati for Neves plus whatever. So I mean, if Cunha's any indication, I mean they pulled the trigger and spent a fair amount of money on him in January. So I think, like I said, I think he'll get some funds, or else he wouldn't have taken this job.
Is that not a loan? Isn't that a loan to buy?
Yeah, but I think it's either they have to, it's compulsory, or they've already decided to keep him on. So I'm pretty sure that's a done deal already. That's a lot of money for someone like that.
Yeah.
He's
young.
Yeah. I still feel like there are some unpolished gems there on that Wolves team. I mean, we don't have to belabor talking about Wolves, but I just still feel that there's potential there. I don't know.
They must be kicking themselves letting Gibbs White go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in retrospect, they got a 40 mil for him. I mean, that's pretty good.
That's true.
He had a good game, and he's been decent for us, but the hype has just been, I think it's been overblown for him. I like him as a player, but it's just like 40 mil for him is still a decent deal.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just wish they would bring back Geddes, but
Yep. Okay, one more to mention here. It doesn't look as drastic on the screen because the gap in the fantasy points doesn't, make the two ends of the barbell as wide as it would. It maybe should be. But if you look at Leicester, you have James Maddison averaging 14.8, and the next closest player is Harvey Barnes at 8.8.
And everyone else is behind Harvey Barnes. That's the frightening thing with these graphs is that okay, you have a look at these two, but like if you look at Brighton or if you look at Arsenal, you can see that behind the second guy there's a ton of room to have decent players, whereas even Barnes with his around 200 plus total points and 8.8 is hovering above replacement level.
It'd be Wolves without Madison, basically.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, and he almost walked last year, maybe the last couple of years. He's gone.
He sure as
year,
shit
right?
ain't. Yeah, for relegation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to the championship.
No. All right. Anything else on this one? We got a couple more stats to look at, so we can always move past if you guys are done.
Real quick, I've been thinking about this a lot. Villa, outside of Watkins, I don't know if the Unai Emery system is really conducive for a lot of other players to score well, because I included Buendia and Ghost Point Hunters this week, which should be coming out tonight or tomorrow. And the numbers are even worse than I imagined. I mean, we're talking about Ghost Point average of less than 5. And if you look across Villa, the points just aren't really there. Moreno is hit or miss, and he's been the kind of darling of that team. I still like Douglas Luiz, but he's gone off the boil a bit too. Buendia has been garbage. McGinn had those 2 games that were good, but otherwise, I don't know. It's just something to think about in terms of the draft next season.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's going to be Watkins is going to have some rumors flying around him. Obviously, they'll probably sign a few players, but I think it's going to be Watkins and then holding on to some decent defenders for good runs when they can keep a few clean sheets. I hope with Diego Carlos, that's his name, right? With him back, they should be much more solid at the back, and with the defensive midfielder, I want to say Kamara. Also, back for next season. I think we'll see a very solid defense there, just like last year's Wolves or something like that. So I think there will be value in the defensive players. Not sure. Just on the same point as what Ryan said. Not sure on the offense. We'll see. We'll see how they retool.
Do we know how many starts you have to make the list?
It's
total points.
It's total fantasy points. So if you're wondering about like somebody like Moreno,
so the brackets indication of a points per start is just added info. The actual
okay,
dot.
so that's not the
the dot,
leading indicator. Okay,
yeah, the dots are just based on total points.
Gotcha.
nice. All right, cool. Here comes your next one. So this is defender points per 90 before the World Cup, after the World Cup, and overall. Defender points per 90 before the World Cup, after the World Cup, and overall. So I'll give listeners, particularly listeners, a quick rundown. You've got Newcastle leading the way with 10.4, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton, Tottenham, West Ham, etc. And then on the very bottom, Southampton coming in at 18, Manchester City, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth. So that's overall.
Yeah, I think obviously you can see the trends, the differences between before World Cup and after World Cup, and most of the sort of the bulk of the points are coming from clean sheets, obviously. But you can see the value in those defenses that actually produce attacking minded players. Like I think the best indication of that is even though Cancelo had a very off season before the World Cup, City's points per 90 was 5.9, and that fell to 4.4. So it dropped 1.5 point after the World Cup when Cancelo was gone. They still haven't kept clean sheets. They still don't go well. So that is just the Cancelo effect, essentially. And so if you look at something, a team like Liverpool, and you see them being the second highest scoring defense in the league so far, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the second most defensively solid team. It just means that they have an absolute monster of a player in Trent, and they get some other points coming around from other defenders as well, like the odd attacking return from Van Dijk or Robertson to prop that stat up. But yeah, I think there's just a few clean sheets the last few weeks, and basically Trent going ham.
Yep. And that was Tom's point in the chat as well. Yeah, he was mentioning the same thing. It's wild that one player can skew it that much. I love that you kind of also coincided that with mentioning Cancelo, because yes, City defenders in particular have just absolutely suffered.
Even before the World Cup, they weren't very good, but since then they have been atrocious. There's a big drop for Arsenal. Obviously, there hasn't been a big change in attacking returns. I think for defenders from Arsenal, it's mostly the downturn in actual clean sheets and overall defensive solidity.
That's Saliba.
It's the Saliba effect, and the interesting one is Brighton for me. Obviously, we have all been very much on the Brighton bandwagon, but that 5.1 jumping up to 7.5, that's amazing. It's just reiterates the Brighton love.
The Man United jump is huge. I think that's the biggest one of the bunch, right?
Man United,
9.7.
Before World Cup 6.6, 9.7 after. Yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
No. I'm kind of surprised by that because I just remembered, I think Dalot before the World Cup ghosting out of his mind, but I guess they had that good stretch of fixtures after World Cup, which I think they got a bunch of clean sheets, so that's probably it. But
they've also had individuals score really, really well. Like they've had some of their fullbacks and Shaw, score really well. And actually ghost fairly well. So I think that you can kind of wrap your head around that a little bit if you spend some time on it, even though as you hate to compliment United.
I thought the Newcastle drop off would be bigger because they were such a clean sheet machine before the World Cup, and then after I don't remember the last time they kept one. Yeah. So I thought the drop off would be bigger. So I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, but that's propped up by Trippier.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but even he's gone off the boil lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he's still 15 points per 90 for the whole season. So I'd imagine even if everyone dropped by like 1 point, they would still have that around 10-ish points per 90 just by him propping up the whole defense.
Well, we're going to use this to springboard into a bit of a can of worms. So, Drafter Thoughts posted, along with that previous table that we were looking at, he posted, Man City Ds are the third worst this season, only averaged 4.4 points per 90 since the World Cup. Given that Newcastle have conceded fewer goals than them, this doesn't make much... only Newcastle have conceded fewer goals than them. This doesn't make much sense. How do Manchester City Ds fare in a scoring system that only wipes out the clean sheet for the first goal? He tags Overthinking Football, which they have been strong proponents, and they have a league where they basically have it where, okay, if the opposing team scores a goal, your defender loses the clean sheet, but they don't also get penalized the -2 for a goal against. It's only subsequent goals after the first goal where they lose those points. I'd be curious to hear if anybody in the chat or if anybody watching uses this type of system and how they like it. But yeah, I mean, are you guys in any of these type of leagues, or is this something you're looking to move towards?
I'm co-managing a team with Sharp that doesn't include this system, but they kind of counteract this by placing a lot more emphasis on like completed passes. So the Diaz is, for example, like a pretty prominent defender in that system. But yeah, that's the only league that I have that doesn't just completely obliterate the value of Man City defenders.
Yeah,
I think I'm not in a league like that, but I'd be really interested, and I think it's not a huge pull of the curtain that we have been talking about how or what to do with the scoring system. Like every year we do what to do with the scoring system, and this is one of the ideas put forth that has some traction, I think, among the guys who make decisions or who suggest decisions. I think, to be fair, the fact that City defenders don't have much to do has a much bigger impact on their value rather than the odd -2 that they concede for the first goal. So I think even with that new clean sheet rule, they wouldn't jump up the leagues for scoring wise, but they'd be much more valuable. Just you'd be chasing clean sheets or only 1-0 losses or 1 goals conceded,
right?
In a sense, yeah.
Which lately wouldn't have helped you at all because every team seems to be scoring between 3 and 7 points, so it doesn't really matter all that much. So Totti, you hinted at it, but scoring changes. So I just want to, this is going to be very brief. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just wanted to kind of pick your brains to see if you guys have anything in the works or anything that you're thinking of or any strong feelings about scoring changes. I would be interested to hear from the community too on this. But yeah, basically on the screen you see scoring for outfielders and where the points have come from. And of course, key passes is completely dominant, followed by goals, which, I guess understandably is pretty heavily weighted. And then of course, goals against being the really the only thing that subtracts a ton of points from them, unless you're somebody like Wilfried Zaha, and then it's dispossessions. Or maybe if you're Granit Xhaka of old, not really this year, but of old, and you get a lot of yellow cards. So I want to be fair, Ryan. So, but really quickly, we did have a couple of comments on the previous. Hold on one second. On the previous idea, Carol's saying we use it in my home league La Liga team, and we're very happy with it. It's not an all stats system, to be fair, but we had problems in the past with defenders scoring poorly, and now it's more balanced. So that's solid. And then Ben Chickens, our good friend Ben Chickens, do not change the scoring system based around Manchester City negligence of clean sheets and sole function in the first third of the pitch. Clean sheets should be given big credit. It's the job of the defenders. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think the issue is not that we don't value clean sheets. The issue is that there are situations where you're punishing the whole defense for one defender's stupidity, or there are situations where conceding a goal doesn't impact the team's value that much. That is the Manchester City situation. So yeah, I don't think I'm not sure I agree 100% that keeping clean sheets is the defenders' jobs in modern football. But I get the point. But I think the conversations around new scoring and scoring changes are essentially based on or derived from the notion that we are not scoring a game where defenders defend, attackers attack, and midfielders some defend, some attack, and we can categorize these into well-defined boxes and put players in where they should be, and then score them accordingly. We have had issues obviously with players lining up at different parts of the pitch. We have had questions around where or how people should or how players should be scored based on where they pop up and all the so our answer could only be it's new age football. They are not positions anymore. They are more roles, and we can't score roles. We can only score positions. So we're trying to sort of translate a game in a language that may have been outgrown by the game itself. So that will obviously be a bit more difficult or a bit more of a challenge. As for your question on scoring changes, I think as I said, we're talking. The main issue here with this graph is that aerials and key passes are way overpowered. I think the two ways to go about scoring changes, and we have had a ton of people complete our end of season questionnaire, and to a bit of a surprise, much more than half of the people who answered or who completed the questionnaire answered that they don't use Fantrax default, as in they have amended the scoring system a bit. So I think the two schools of thought are mainly add some more interesting, exciting, well-defined categories to make the scoring a bit more nuanced and a bit more exciting.
Drogba Dreams asking if you have advocated for fouls suffered yet.
Yeah, and that's where I'm lead.
That's one of those categories you're speaking of.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the categories, and you can add second assists, and you can add shots and post. I know that's a contentious issue, but these are categories that don't change the value or perceived value of players. They add a bit. They add wrinkles to players' values. The other way to go about this is to posit the fact that we want to change the system so that key passes and aerials are not so overpowered, and by that change we want to equalize value across at least across the three outfield positions, and that would require more change. Not in a sense that it would require a whole new system, in a sense that if you take away one bit, you have to add on the other side, so that perceived value or actual value remains with flair and attack, rather than a system where, I don't know, and Ryan, I think you can speak to this based on the co-manager team. I think I'm very much against scoring completed passes, because that skews values so much that
Rodri is like the most valuable player in the league.
Exactly. So that changes things so much that it's a whole new game, essentially.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It's all about balance. Plus, I mean, we talked about it with Jeannie in private chat earlier. It's also, if you make big tweaks to the system, everybody's used to the old system. Obviously, you need to do your homework and everything, but if you make it so that a certain category of players are a lot more valuable than they used to be, and vice versa, it creates a lot of deviations, which are tough to hammer out. So I tend to veer towards the side of keeping it pretty consistent. Although I will say that I was advocating for the yellow cards to be dropped from 3 to 2 points, which happened, and that was fantastic. So little things along the margins like that I think are helpful, but yeah, big changes are pretty tough to accommodate.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also the aspect of you want to be able to watch the game and still have a feel for when your players are doing things that score points.
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to add too many things where it's like, okay, now I'm just completely in the dark and just crossing my fingers about whether or not this player is doing something that's going to give me fantasy points.
We want to see the ghosts.
Right.
We want to be able to see them.
I see what you did there. I love that. Reminder to listeners and viewers alike, ghost points, of course, are those points that are not linked to either attacking returns or clean sheets. So just so you know what we talk about when we talk about ghosts. All right, let's move on from this, because this could be a conversation for another few podcasts, to be honest. So we'll go ahead and leave that in the dust for now. Let's talk streamers. Game week 36, 1 week plays with high upside. Okay, here we go. We're going to burn through these quick because we do have some listener questions and then some also Twitter questions to get through that people are, left with some conundrums, maybe trying to win their leagues. We're going to try to help you out as much as we can. So let's do streamers. Ryan, I know Totti and I got into the document first, so you
had to dredge the bottom of the Fantrax River for these, but I still stand behind them. Ziyech is one of those guys that there's a decent likelihood that he doesn't start. However, if he does, the upside is there. He came on and had a pretty good cameo last game week, got an assist and some ghosts in a pretty brief cameo. So if you get an inkling that he's going to start, he's a great high upside play that will be on your wire. So I like Ziyech versus Forest. Mainsley always does a job. He basically will get you 7 or 8 regardless, with the opportunity to get some random 11 or 12 ghosts. So if you're desperate for midfield help, Mainsley will do a job. Shada, he's that guy that, will get you 8.5, and you just assume that he's going to tack on an attacking return at some point. Has not done it yet.
Right.
Decent matchup versus, I assume, a weary West Ham, because I think they have a Conference League matchup tomorrow. So if he's in the starting lineup, he's a decent shot again at midfield. And I think we talked about it a bit on Twitter, but Brighton defenders, I think, are a trap this week with the matchups. Arsenal and Newcastle away are 2 of the worst matchups you could have.
Sorry to interrupt. I agree, but I still think they won't concede 5 like they did against Everton.
I mean, I think combined they probably will. But yeah, I just don't. They don't do enough to. I don't think either is a clean sheet, and they don't do enough to warrant reaching for him. However, someone like Billy Gilmore, if he gets the 2, he's one of those CDM types that will get you 6 to 7, and then over 2 legs get you 14 to 15, which is what you're looking for. And I think we'll get into it later, but I like Enciso to come in for March and other depth issues for Brighton, and he's got some good upside. So probably taken in a lot of leagues. I've had him for a while now, but I like those 2 out of the Brighton double.
I like it. All right, Totti, what you got?
Second week in a row, I'm shouting out Tom Kearney. I did last week, basked in the glory that was him destroying Leicester.
Indeed.
So I'm riding until the wheels fall off, as we say.
Yep.
Diop as well against Southampton. I think Southampton scoring 3 was a bit of a anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect them to do that again. And Diop was very solid despite conceding 3 against Leicester. So I think he's a good clean sheet shout. There's very little value this week on the waiver wire. So
agreed.
So I think this is a bit out there, but yeah, I'd imagine that he is available and I'd want to pick him up.
I really quick, Totti, I went into our tool, our Fantasy Toolkit, into the app, and I was using it as I have been doing all season before everyone else was able to pick up the guys that I was looking at on the Fantasy Toolkit. But I'm just like looking at the streamers for this week and like, my God, it's just disgusting. There's like very few people who are even projected for more than like 8.
Yep.
It just is a really gross week. So good luck to people streaming anybody.
I picked up Cesar Azpilicueta and Issa Diop on waivers, and that should tell you everything about the value that is available in active leagues. I doubt Altera is available in most of our listeners' leagues, but if so, go get him. He dropped an 11 pointer. Go all ghosts this last game week. And my fourth one is Badia Sheila, who came in, scored his first goal, did not do much else, but it's versus Bournemouth.
Right.
They've got their first win under Papa Papa Frank. So there is a chance. There is a chance for a clean sheet there as well. I doubt he scores his second goal in 2 weeks.
No.
Let's put it that way.
But you're thinking they might keep a clean sheet against Forest.
Yeah.
Might.
He
does. He can pick up a few peripheral stats as well. I mean, he does a couple things.
Yeah. He went, especially when he came in January. He started a few games and he did very well ghost point wise. But that was a very different Chelsea team. So I wouldn't draw many conclusions. That said, what are you guys' bets on clean sheets for this weekend? Over under 4 clean sheets.
I mean, last week you would have thought that.
Who are you thinking? Fulham.
That's Fulham.
Potentially, I mean, I hate to say City, but
But
I'm pulling up FPL.
Chelsea.
I'm pulling up FPL Salah. He
Liverpool,
has DGW36 clean sheet percentage. Newcastle 54%, City 52%, Chelsea 49%, United 46%, Palace 38%, Liverpool 36%, Brighton 35%, Brentford 35%, Arsenal 31%. I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's not a very clean sheety game week. Yeah, I think Newcastle have a good chance, and Man U with Wolves and Leeds respectively. But after that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Drogba dreams here. 3 at the back week. But I do have a couple of defenders here for you, just in case you don't want to take that advice. So my first one.
Love the Twitter pick.
Yeah, that's been my pick for years. It's never going to change. So my first one is Murphy, obviously, with the DGW, and I think that's a pretty obvious one. If he's available in your league, it's a no-brainer stream. Grab him. He was my opponent had him last week, so I was watching him quite closely. He was involved. He was definitely involved. He had a few chances he maybe should have done better with, and in the box offensively, he was there quite a bit. So I really like Murphy to the point where I had him in the document, and then Totti also wrote him down, and then I gave him some shit about copying me. Yeah, thanks. I don't mind Lianco this week versus Fulham. He had a decent outing, and he's been ghosting fairly well in limited sort of little cameos, but finally got his full match, and he looks lively. He looks like he's going to have a few attacking returns maybe, but regardless, at least some counting stats. So he could be decent. Ward versus Bournemouth. Ward has been surprisingly consistent, which I have to shout out Drafter Thoughts again for bringing this to my attention, because he said that Ward went for 20 fab in one of his leagues this week, which is wild. But when you look at his scores, actually, I mean, they haven't kept a clean sheet since Everton on April 22nd, and he scored 7.25 every week for the last 3 weeks, while conceding 2 goals, 3 goals, and 1 goal. So why not? I mean, if you want 7.25, go for it. And then
That's very specific,
and that's what you want.
Exactly, 7.25. That's what you're here for. 7.25. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that, Ben Chickens. Murphy is one of those players who looks like he should score fantasy points, but rarely does. I completely agree. But
I'd say he scores more than rarely. Rarely is like every 5 weeks. I think he's
semi-rarely.
Yeah,
rare-ish.
I'd say on occasion.
Fair enough. We'll take it. But no, I'm with you. But I feel like give him 2 bites of the cherry, and I think he'll at least give you what Ryan was saying earlier. You know, you want in a double game week, you want the 15. You're looking for the 15. So I think
He'll have 150 odd minutes in the double game week. I'd
Right.
say.
Yeah. And finally, this is a bit of a random one, but Joao Paulinho, he's actually been doing fairly well. I mean, quietly, I think, and been again popping up in offensive areas, which is very strange. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. But his scores recently, 2 weeks plus, or 2 weeks of 10 plus scores, and then 6.5 the week before against City. So I think he's turning it on at the right time, and he could be a decent stream against Southampton. So those are mine.
So I have Ward and Paulinho both in Ghost Point Hunters this week. So
nice. I didn't know that. Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I was going to say. Also, just an asterisk on Lianco is that Mitrovic is back. Do with that information what you will. Probably a bit
this week, of course.
Yeah,
Me too.
Probably
why
against Southampton, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why I said
We're
Lianco.
screwed, Ryan.
You can't make it up. You really can't.
Maybe some more. That means
maybe
more
he doesn't
growth.
start. Maybe he doesn't immediately walk back into the team. They've been doing pretty well without him.
No.
Vinicius got
Keep
two,
telling yourself that.
or got a goal and assist against Leicester.
Vinicius looking like Llorente. Spurs Llorente.
All right. There were your streamers. Let's answer some questions. So we're going to go, let's see, we're going to go back. We're going to leave that view and come back to just the three of our beautiful mugs. We've had some people who have been popping some questions in the chat the whole time that we've been chatting. So I want to go back to some of those and get you guys' thoughts on some of these questions. So Harbor Boy was the first who asked, Ryan, I think this will be close to your heart. How valuable is Evan Ferguson right now? Who is he similar to in value if you were weighing up a trade or a pickup?
Yeah, I mean, these guys will tell you how much bitching and lamenting I've done over the past few months about Ferguson, because I think we have this inflated value of or inflated thoughts about how valuable he is.
Yeah.
But I can tell you from picking him up like 3 months ago, I don't think I've gotten one double-digit start out of him. I think I've only gotten like 1 or 2 starts, period.
Right.
So hope always brings eternal. I would not be opposed to trading him out on a quote-unquote high before this double, because, yeah, I mean, you have Welbeck there, you have everybody else.
Would you trade him out for the
aforementioned?
Previously cited.
The previously touted Mitrovic.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I think that
2
probably
less
would too.
games. Fulham on the beach.
Fulham on the beach is, I mean, they're playing badminton on that beach, man. They're active.
Top Gun. Top Gun.
Yeah, they're playing that double football thing. Yeah, I think I would. They got a good schedule. But, yeah, I think I probably would. I'm trying to think of other folks I would trade him for. Yeah, let me give that some thought. But I'm not opposed to trading him out at all.
Right. Like who would accept him right now for a valuable asset?
Play up the double.
I mean, Mitrovic has 3 games to play. Ferguson on paper has 5.
On paper.
Yeah, obviously he's not going to start 5, but he came on, and I don't want to get into game state analysis, but he came on in a frantic game and he got 12 in 45 minutes. All ghosts. So there is definitely shop window type situation there.
About Alvarez?
I wouldn't do it for Alvarez.
There's no.
I can see
Champions
Alvarez
League games. I think he's starting this week, and he has
for KDB.
Yeah,
because Haaland isn't sitting.
No, Haaland's not going to sit, but KDB probably will. Or like as I said a month ago, I like his depth because he can come in for KDB or anybody across the front three.
We have someone named Evan who's watching currently. He's recommending we try to trade him for Enciso.
Yeah, I do like Enciso.
I like him better than Ferguson for sure. But
we're setting up a Ferguson race against Arsenal, by the way.
But I like Ferguson better than Alvarez. Who's this Evan dude?
I don't know. Evan's saying some controversial shit up in here.
I don't know, but I like his takes.
He said he'd also take Alvarez over Ferguson. So man,
there you go.
Comes into the chat and just starts dropping bombs, and I don't know who he thinks he is, but but yeah. All right, are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Here is a good one from Tom. So, is McNeil a start versus City? The toolkit, the aforementioned Fantasy Toolkit, is telling him no, but it also said to bench him last week. I mean, again, we've talked about projections, guys. Like, projections are not gospel. Projections are expectations based upon performance previously by that player, but also, more importantly, in this case, performances against the team that they are playing. And so it's something to keep in mind. It's never gospel. Don't ever treat it that way. It's just a recommendation. But I did ask Tom, what are your other options? And he responded, the people he's up against are Gallagher, Ramsey, Kearney. He has Bruno and Gross as well. So he's just worried about the projections. It's got him double thinking. Or thinking twice.
I'd start McNeil ahead of Ramsey or Gallagher.
Same. What about Kearney?
Not Kearney.
Ryan?
Yeah, I think I'd start him over Ramsey. It's close with Gallagher since he's been scoring of late. The only one scoring, really. Normally, I would say start McNeil because you saw what Dyche had ready for a Brighton team that is the most like City outside of Arsenal in the league. So you can see McNeil getting some counterattack and opportunities and points. So I think he's got a decent chance. And like I said, Dyche will be ready at home. City will be knackered from the Champions League matchup. McNeil can do something. Although I really hope he comes back to earth because the hype this week has been just unbearable.
Yeah, totally agreed. All right. This is an interesting one as soon as I can find it here. So we have 1 second. Sorry. Okay. We have Richard Barnes asking about a dynasty league, which is awesome. Okay. We don't talk about dynasty that often, but we should. In a dynasty league, would you trade Odegaard and Gibbs White for Porro and Isak?
I thought Richard Barnes was not going to stay in the chat.
I think he maybe got off work early or called in and just called in sick to work because he wanted to watch this, which I don't blame him at all.
I mean, I would. If it wasn't on at 2 in the morning.
Yeah. So what do we think about this? Ryan? Odegaard?
Yeah. I mean, shockingly, I would not. I mean, Odegaard's 24. Gibbs White is 23, I think. I mean, I like Porro and Isak. I really do. I just don't think that they're going to be. I don't even think they're going to be better than those two next year, let alone in the long run. So, yeah, I wouldn't.
He might be considering the fact that Gibbs White could get relegated, and therefore I think you just lose your value on him.
Pick him up.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't think he's going back to the championship, no.
Yeah. It's hard to it's hard to trade out Odegaard like that, but I mean the value's there with Isak. You can't argue that.
I mean, if you're looking for a forward, then Isak is prime dynasty forward material.
Oh, yeah.
I'd definitely do Gibbs White for Isak for sure, but
if I was the Isak owner, I would scoff at that.
I mean,
scoff away. I'd scoff at this.
In a dynasty draft,
Scoff at each other.
Is Isak in the first round? In a dynasty draft?
I think he's late first, maybe early second.
Early, yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the roster you're building. If it's short term or long term.
All right, Totti. I feel like we talk about this every week, but let's just give Magnus a quick question. He's our boy. Which Liverpool forwards will start most rest of season?
After Salah, that is.
Of course, yeah.
We talked about this a bit in the chat, considering next season. But
Yeah, we were talking about next season, yeah.
But I think rest of the season, and I don't think this is the ranking based on value, but I think for expected minutes, I'd have Gakpo second. But I wouldn't rank him second for value. I'd have Jota second for value.
Interesting.
Based on form and based on how he's been coming in.
And
Diaz
over Darwin.
And then Diaz over Diaz over Darwin.
Yeah, I don't know who in their right mind would pick Darwin to be anywhere near the top of that list right now. Looks a shadow of himself.
I like him for value next season, though, if we're talking next draft.
Do you really? Oh, this is going to be a whole chat. I think... I think I listen to a lot of Liverpool pods, so you gotta know that. But even some of the guys who were on him early thought that he was going to develop are starting to go back on that and say, I don't know. Sometimes it looks like he just doesn't have it. He's not going to be there mentally.
I think he'll explode.
Yeah.
Next season. And I think because of his travails this season and the fact that they have so many forwards, I think he's going to be available for pretty good value in the draft. So I'm worth high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
I think the only way he gains much value for me, at least, is if they start trotting out the 4-2-3-1 often, which could happen depending on the profile of defenders they are looking, or defensive midfielders. Because if they're looking for the type that will sit in a double pivot like Caicedo or the like, then there is a chance that Gakpo will spearhead that midfield, meaning that there is a spot for Darwin up top. But if they're bringing in a more dynamic Thiago replacement type attacking midfielder who plays in a 3, then it's still going to be a 4-3-3, which means that 3 attackers are coming in. I think the starting and most sort of preferred starting front 3 for Liverpool next season will be Salah, Gakpo, and Diaz.
Yep. I think you're right. I've actually been thinking about this quite a bit, and I think you're absolutely right. I think Gakpo came in. I thought he was not surplus to requirements. We needed him at the time. I thought it might have been a bit of an overspend given how desperate they were. But all that said, I thought he was kind of like a young sort of reinforcement, and I think he's played his way into the 11. I don't know that he's droppable at this point. Klopp loves him.
The interesting thing, and we are going too deep on this, so we can move on.
We can move on, yeah.
The interesting thing for me is that when is one of these guys being trotted out on the right to give Salah some off time? Because everyone's a left. It's almost as bad as Chelsea.
Yeah,
everyone's a left-sided winger or a left inside forward.
Darwin the only
is that Diaz is that. So so someone needs to give Salah some time off on the right as well. So
the only person whose natural position that is Harvey Elliott.
Yeah.
and he's never been able to play there because of Salah. So, I mean, we really haven't seen the best of him either, because he's been played out of position his entire Liverpool career, basically. But I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So, yeah. Drogba Dreams, another comment. He said, I want Joe on Joe corner for the Willock updates. Sorry, man. I'm a never again. I'm a never again. I said it last time, but now it's for real. I'm a never again on Joe Willock. Not doing it. All right. Let's see.
Never say never. Never say never.
I mean, no.
Have some principles.
Yeah.
Stick to it.
Yeah. All right. Carl at Cade. Here we go again. I've got first leg playoff semis against Shaw and Lindelof, who have a double game week next. Is it Maguire time? I picked up Malacia just in case, but I don't think he'll start. Is that too desperate?
I think Malacia is ahead of Maguire at this point. I think Maguire was healthy in the last two games, and it was Shaw who played centre back, and Malacia played on the left instead of Maguire coming in and Shaw sticking to his full-backing ways. So I'd rather Malacia as a hold than Maguire, but yeah. I'm not hopeful of Malacia 2 games.
They've also played Dalot on the left too, right? I saw that they
have, yeah. So I think Maguire is out for what it's worth.
But yeah, Malacia getting 2 might be a stretch.
Varane may be back for one of the doubles, isn't he? Okay, I know Lisandro is out for the season, but I think I've read somewhere that Varane is not confirmed out yet. So he might poop in the soup.
Where are you going with this?
Moving on.
Moving on.
Oh, I see. Like spoil. You're talking about like spoil the poop in the soup. Okay, I got you. We're gonna coin that. That's now a term on this podcast. Ryan doesn't like it. That's fine.
Cut.
Ryan, explain this comment from Banta Boys to me. Which TDS gent wins our Banta Bash SF clash? Robbie versus Ryan.
Yeah, so we Robbie and I are in the semis of the Banta Bash League, which is an awesome league, by the way. I got to give it up to Sanji for putting it together. It's a 5-a-side league, basically. So, yeah, you only can play 5 players, no goalkeeper. Robbie and I are in the semis, like I said. It's going to be tough. I did not want to face him, I will say. I dispatched with Chicken Man last week. That was pretty light work.
Oh, no. How dare you?
Just kidding. I was scared at the end, I got to admit. McAllister gave me a bit of a fright. No, that was a tough one. But yeah, it'll be a fun matchup. So I think I'm rolling out Robertson, Joint Boy, Odegaard, and I have Enciso and Welbeck waiting in the wings. I doubt I'm going to start both. I'll probably just go Enciso, in which case I'll have to go to the bench for that other spot. But yeah, it'll be a good one. I'm hoping that I can lock up the regular season title this week, I think, with a win, but the cup is still up for grabs, so it'll be a good one.
I like it. All right, he has a real question regarding Spurs defenders. After getting slaughtered with Stellini, are Romero and company back on the menu?
Romero dropped 16 ghosts.
He had a huge week last week.
Weird.
Yeah.
He's such a weird player. I think so. I think you got to ride it. You got a decent schedule. After last week, not everybody. I mean, you're not trotting out Dyer,
no,
or Longley, but Joint Boy, who's Pedro Porro, by the way.
Joint Boy,
and Romero and maybe Davies are decent shouts.
Anything on that, Totti?
Emerson Royale, anyone?
He didn't score that well.
Who?
He was decent. I think he has 12.
I'm not trusting the Spurs defense. So I'm out. But yeah, I mean, the points don't lie. But I wouldn't trust them to keep many more clean sheets.
That's fair. Let's do a Twitter question real quick. So we'll jump back to that, and if there's any other live chat questions, we can get back to them in just a second. So Brandon, Brisbane Brando, this is just for Bants, but it's fun. Where's the next Draft-a-Palooza? You guys, I got a notification on my phone. What was it, last week? That I was in Lisbon.
Same here.
This time last year.
Yep.
And I
got the Google photos.
I mourned. I mourned.
Cape Verde stuff thrown in there as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think we have to disappoint Brandon.
It's probably not Australia, my friend.
The next Draft-a-Palooza is in Iceland.
It needs to be.
Or in Casper. But after that, we're going to Aussie land.
Yeah,
and let's be done. It's just a matter of when.
Right.
But speaking of Draft-a-Palooza, I will be in London in 2 weeks for Arsenal Wolves. So if anybody's around, I'd love to meet up.
Nice. Love it. All right. So then we have... Again, Carl at Cade, who's on the live stream, but also just made sure to include a Twitter question as well. It's good. It's all good. People are wondering these things. Final 3 weeks. Are there any players off the top of your head who change from must roster or, a guy you would normally keep to droppable? This is a really good question, actually.
Let's get back to that.
I have one. I have one right off the top of my head. Guys like Enzo Fernandez, done. Bye.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's getting you 6 to 8, see ya. Like this is, especially if you have something left to play for, this is your time when you need to play high upside streamers. I would much rather play Kearney than Enzo. I might even play Paulinho over him. Yeah.
I've gotten a sneak peek of Ghost Point Hunters, and Ryan is not impressed with Emi Buendia's prospects. Would you categorize Buendia as changes from good to have to droppable?
I mean,
yeah, I'd rather trade him out, but
yeah,
I think he's droppable for sure.
Even with the managerial change, I think I dropped him in November and haven't looked back. So,
what about someone like Matthias Jensen?
I haven't tracked him lately.
Yeah, me either.
He's been decent.
Yeah,
but they have West Ham this week and then Spurs and City the last 2 weeks. Which is
Yes. See, he's one of those who's getting you consistently, your 6s, your 7s. He has some double-digit returns in there, but
Villa are a good shout for this. They have Spurs.
Yeah.
Schedule's horrible.
Spurs, Liverpool, Brighton. So yeah, I think Emi is on the precipice.
Yeah.
Watkins is the only one who's definitely worth keeping.
You're dropping Dougie Lou. You're dropping Ramsey if you had him. Are you dropping McGinn? You're dropping McGinn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moreno's close. Like he's
been dropped in my league.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it.
What about last week's hero-ish decent scorer, Harvey Barnes, facing Liverpool, then Newcastle, then West Ham on the final day?
Despite his strong name, I've never been a Harvey Barnes fan. He's so boom or bust. I think he's droppable.
I'm not dropping him. I don't know if I'm starting him, but I'm not gonna...
Even if it's just for the last game against West
I was
Ham.
going to say, right, they're the last game, right? So, yeah, I mean, even just for insurance, yeah. And he's a high upside. Like that's the thing about a guy like Enzo. I mean, there's no upside there. So a guy like Barnes, you still have the upside. So yeah, hold on to him.
I wouldn't go out of my way. I would just say if I was in a pinch, like when the game week came down to it, I would absolutely drop his ass in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So since we're kind of talking streamers already, and we've sort of covered Carl's second question there. So what I want to do is quick pivot to a question that Will asked where he said we probably already covered this, but we didn't really. Do you guys care about having players who are playing for something?
I think Fulham over the last couple of weeks has shown that kind of goes out the window. Some of these teams at the beach are killing it. So I think you go for player specific and matchups, regardless of kind of status of teams.
I think you can't sort of make rules on this. I think the takeaway is that these teams become much more volatile. And we haven't seen an uptick or a great escape type situation from the teams we expected it to. So like I think for 3 weeks in a row, I was including language in Waivers article on West Ham and Leicester players saying that their quality needs to come out at the business end of the season, and they need to just band together and start winning games, but they haven't done that. And so in that sense, and the same with Leeds, like they really only need to win one more game essentially to be almost safe, but they haven't managed that for 2 months now. So I wouldn't say that there is a rule or there is a definite pivot from on the beach type teams to those who have something to play for. I think it's more volatile, it's more unpredictable. So you have to go for those players specifically, just like Ryan says, specifically those players who you know will be able to go regardless of, or semi regardless of how their team performs. Because we have seen Fulham shit the bed a few weeks ago, and then now they're prime Brazil.
So are Everton, apparently.
Exactly. So, like, what are you expecting from Everton? Are they going to just walk the last 3 games? No, they're going to be same shit Everton.
No, they're going to do Ryan a favor. They're going to wallop City this weekend. It's going to be incredible. Scenes are going to be wild.
Don't give me any hope. That's what kills me.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like that Everton Brighton result, that Fulham Leicester result, both of those, any punter would have guessed would go the other ways.
This guy Evan again is saying that it does matter.
Will he give it a rest?
I honestly, it's like what have you ever created? Like it's like, how have you helped fantasy managers?
Gallery.
We're here trying to help people.
I mean, there is a spot on the screen.
And what have you
if you're so desperate to have your opinions showcased?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, start a Twitter account if you want to help people. I hear something like Draft Lad is open, or I don't know. Oh no, that one's already taken. Never mind. Sorry, something else. Anyway, this guy Evan is saying it matters in the sense of rotating lineups, guys getting chances. So I mean, that is a concern. So some teams on the beach or whatever, they got nothing to play for. So let's see what the youngsters have in them.
I hope that means Mitra doesn't start this weekend, Joe.
Is it?
Speaking of hope that kills you.
Likes of. I think the prime example of this is Madueke and Badia Sheila getting chances for Chelsea. But other than that, like, I wouldn't expect. I don't know. I don't even know if he's alive, but I wouldn't expect KLP to come out of hiding
Alive.
to get into the Brentford lineup.
He's wandering the earth.
Or I wouldn't expect. I think just so that we can oppose this random Evan dude. I think this was the thing that we were expecting last season at the end of season, or at least I was, that Aston Villa had been safe for a while, and Gerrard has been shit for a while, trying to rotate, and every week, I remember every single week, I picked up Emi Buendia, thinking that the fact that he came on, got an assist, and then played well for 20 minutes would afford him a start in a game that no one cared about. And then he went on not starting. So I think...
I do remember when we were in Lisbon that we all picked him up, and he did get that one start that week, didn't he?
Did nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't have it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think like giving youngsters a chance is a bit of a myth. I think. I hope the inner geek Luke Wilkins comes back to write a guest article or a returning guest article on end of season, giving youngsters a chance, being a myth or not. But yeah, I'm not having my hopes high up and picking up random streamers from on the beach teams.
The chat is now just loving Evan, this random Evan person. He's being characterized as the reverse Flash to Draft Lad, the heartwarming villain that we all needed in the chat. Luckily, his internet gave out. Purportedly, I call it cowardice, but that's just me.
How do you kick people out of this thing?
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'll call StreamYard.
Yeah,
customer service.
Thanks. Anyway, Drogba Dreams had a good question, and this is one we haven't really spent any time on. He says he's a stats guy, but he wants to know what we can learn from Genie again this year, given he's an anti-stats and all gut feeling type of guy. Can you guys think of any Genie calls this year that have come true?
Yeah, I mean, I have to talk him off the ledge about Ryan Christie a lot more than I'd like, but otherwise, yeah.
True.
I mean, he's got great instincts, and I
think the fact that Kovacic has been injured most season helped his fantasy teams.
Kovacic has just got like 15 or something.
I'm sure he picked him up.
Michael Keane is probably the reason why he's doing well in some of his leagues, I assume.
So one thing to mention is that Genie is going to be coming back, even if just briefly, but to write an article about his team that he's calling Free Agent FAFC. So basically what he did was he drafted all backup goalkeepers in a league, 100% backup goalkeepers, and only played the waiver wire for the entire year, and just to see what kind of, and of course trades, because that's his bag, but just to see what type of team he could compile. And so we're going to get kind of a post-mortem on that and see what he was able to do.
We did poop in his soup a bit.
We, of course. We're like, this is ridiculous. This is never going to work. And I mean...
No. I mean, we took over. Draft Lad, Robbie, and Gavin and myself took over a team in that league. And we quickly got Fab Monopoly. So we did poop in his soup there. But yeah.
Ruined the plans.
Hope he finishes above you guys.
It's
not cool.
I think he will. To be honest, but yeah, it will be interesting. But let's give Genie a challenge live on air with all 10 people listening and
Yeah.
watching. Let's see what he's made of. Let's have him play a full season of IGL, International Genie League, Champions Division, with 0 trades.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's his lifeblood.
I know. What's going to sustain him? I guess his 6 other leagues.
Kryptonite.
Yeah. I'm just saying there are people still trading with him, which baffles me.
Speaking of trades, real quick, because we're thinking about this in my main league as a potential tweak to our system. So we had a couple trades that were pretty egregious that I think swayed the title race. So we are thinking about implementing a system in which there's a trade offer. As soon as it happens, the rest of the league is notified, and you get a certain amount of time to make a better offer before it goes through.
We have
that. To do that. How's it working?
We have that for the first season in my home league, and it's I think it's working very, very well. I'm planning.
What's the time frame that you get?
24 hours. We have.
Okay, we were thinking about that, but like I like the opportunity to like trade like fab like right before kickoff, like $1 for something.
Yeah, that kills during game week trades. That's the biggest.
You don't make an exception for just fab.
No,
because that's the kind of carve out that I want to do.
Yeah, we do. I mean, you can have caveats, and we tried doing like an expedited run, meaning that we have a Facebook Messenger chat where you have those little icons indicating who has seen the message, So we wanted to put together a caveat that on game week or mid game week trades, we would waive the 24-hour window if it was confirmed that everyone has seen the original announced trade offer and no one has put in a counter bid. But we didn't end up doing it. We might do it for next season. The only thing we have, which I think is a good rule to have, and I would suggest you consider it, is that there's no double negotiation. So once the trade is announced, then both parties can receive competitive offers of the trade. But once one of the parties accepts another offer, the counter offer that is accepted gets done immediately. So there's no new 24-hour window. There's no.
No,
and also the counters need to be offered for the same deal. So if you are trading for like Diaz plus 2 fab, then you have to offer something for Diaz plus 2 fab. You can't say let's include Gallagher and take out the 2 fab and whatever. So it's just a counter for that negotiated trade. So you can essentially, what it does is that for those.
So you don't have apples to oranges comparisons.
Exactly. And
I like that.
It achieves, and I'm a victim of not a victim, but a perpetrator.
Negated some of your low balls
of this, but it essentially ensures, or in time ensures those who like to make low ball trades to consider the fact that if they get a low ball trade accepted, then it will be countered in the chat.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to have a trade go through if you put together a trade offer that is fairer, because then your opposing number won't have better offers to accept.
Cool.
So I think it works, and I think it's a good go between for trades between a free for all and between vetoes, which I don't like.
Nice. Cool.
I like it.
That.
All right. This has been the KPC.
Yep.
I don't.
No
I
more
don't.
questions?
I don't.
No?
Did want to shout out a few though. Well, first,
Lord.
I like the fact that Diddy called Ziyech the Chelsea Pepe.
Yeah.
I don't think he's earned that moniker yet, but
Yep.
he's still got a little bit of time, particularly this game week, I would say. And then Carol shouting out Pamplona, one of my favorite places on earth. I would love to do Draftapalooza there.
He did say, he did say that. Here we go. Ryan, you can show us all the best places. I've never been. I agree. That would be awesome.
It's a little bit tough to get there. You probably got to fly into Bilbao or something. But yeah, we need to put that on the list.
That's fair. It looks like Sanji wants to meet up if you're there. Draftapalooza in London.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Hit him up for sure. Okay, we good? Any others? All right.
No.
Okay. All right, chat. You guys have been fantastic. You're the reason that we've been, droned on for so long. But this has been a blast. Evan, again, whoever you are, thank you so much. Next time, just come on the pod.
Shout out the middleman.
Yeah, these people don't know it, but they've heard you before.
Doesn't want to show that beautiful face. He wants to keep his Peter Parker image.
It's fair. That's true. I mean, he's already given them an insight into his alter ego, his everyday Clark Kent. So, I mean, next step, I guess, is just let's see that pretty face. All right. Anyway, adios to the muchachos. This has been the KPC. Again, if you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. We'll try to get the word out and see if we can get some eyes on it. But otherwise, let us know if you have start-sit conundrums that we didn't touch on. Obviously, we're willing to help out. But for those who listened live, you guys are fantastic. For those who are listening later, you guys are also amazing, especially if you've made it this far. Thank you so much to the community. You're the reason we do this. We love you guys. Hope the live streams and everything has been cool. Let us know if you have any suggestions or anything that we can do to improve. And take the end of season survey. Speaking of improvement, take the end of season survey. Nope, is it already closed, Totti? It's closed. Never mind. Thanks to those who took the end of season survey. We do really appreciate that. And we're going to go ahead and close this down before I say something else I regret. All right, cheers. Talk to everyone soon. Bye.